You walk into the fishbowl with me. Same sun-bleached set, same 8 bongs on the wall, same coffee that tastes like it's got playoff energy in it. And right away, you can feel the momentum shift. The Cowboys' running game that seemed patchwork earlier this season is suddenly humming, and the defense that looked patchy for months has found a groove these last few weeks. That's the backdrop for 2 small but potentially huge shakes. A new running back showing up on the scene, and the long, messy, fascinating return story around Trayvon Diggs. Both moves matter in different ways, and both raise the stakes for the next stretch of games. This isn't just roster noise, it's narrative energy that can flip a division race and the mood in the locker room. So let's set the table. You've got Javonte bulldozing toward 1,000 yards, Malik Davis popping when asked, and Jaden Blue waiting for his shot. And now there's Izzy, a college workhorse with an NFL resume that reads like, opportunity? Show me you belong. On the other side, Diggs is walking back in with a stack of questions. Health, attitude, chemistry, and can he be the same corner he once was? Both stories are about more than snaps. They're about momentum and identity. If Izzy can be even a practice day difference maker, it keeps Javonte fresh and gives coaches options. If Diggs can be anything near the player who turned heads 2 seasons ago, the secondary gains a real weapon. If he can't, or if the off-field stuff lingers, that's going to change how the Cowboys approach matchups and personnel decisions going forward. Now, I don't want to oversell this. One practice squad signing doesn't win a season, and one guy saying he feels 100% doesn't erase a long injury history. But the timing is what makes it interesting. The team's run game and defense are both trending the right way, and adding depth on offense while potentially getting a high-ceiling corner back on defense is the kind of two-sided boost teams dream about when they're trying to finish strong. Before we dig into Izzy's background and what he realistically brings, tell me this in the comments. Which of these 2 stories matters more to you this week? The new running back or Diggs coming off IR? And while you type that, if you want daily breakdowns like this and to help get us to 17,000 subscribers, make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell. You and I both know that this Cowboys coaching staff doesn't make random moves just to fill space on a depth chart. When they bring in a running back this late in the season, it's because something in the building tells them they need insurance, competition, or a nudge for the guys already in the room. And that's exactly where Israel Abanikanda enters the story. Not as a savior, not as a guaranteed contributor, but as a pressure point. A reminder that jobs are never safe, and someone is always hungry enough to take yours. So let's talk about Izzy the player, not just the name. At Pitt, he was a classic workhorse back. Thick lower body, downhill runner, straight line burst, a frame built to take hits. His final year saw him stack up more than 1,400 rushing yards and 20 touchdowns, numbers that don't happen by accident in a Power 5 conference. That alone made him a 5th-round pick for the Jets, and his early flashes earned him a few NFL carries, but nothing stuck. That's been his road so far. Quick looks with the Jets, a brief stay with the 49ers, a sip of coffee with the Packers, and now here he is in Dallas, walking into a room where reps are earned one brutal practice snap at a time. What makes this interesting isn't that he's here, it's what his presence does. Malik Davis, who has worked his way up from the couch to the practice squad to meaningful snaps, absolutely felt this signing. Jaden Blue, the speedster coaches wanted to carve a role for but haven't trusted yet, absolutely felt it. Competition sharpens guys, and Izzy is the kind of athlete who forces everyone to sit up straight. He's 217 pounds of energy looking for a lane, and if all he ever becomes is a practice squad hammer who forces the defense to work, that still matters. And if he becomes more, well, this is the exact type of late-season storyline where a player steals a handful of snaps, makes one big play, and suddenly turns into a rotation guy down the stretch. Now, let me be clear with you. This isn't the Cowboys replacing anyone. Javonte Williams is the bell cow, the engine. He's closing in on 1,000 yards. Malik is the complement. Blue is the developmental weapon. Izzy is the challenger. But he's also a reminder that in a playoff push, roster depth is survival. Guys get tired. Backs get beat up. One change in the rotation can keep the offense balanced, keep the pressure off Dak, and keep defenses guessing on short yardage. Before we shift to the defensive side of the ball and the much bigger headline, let me ask you something. Do you think Izzy ever sees real game snaps this season? Or is he strictly a depth piece? Drop a yes or no in the comments. I want to see where you stand on this one. And while you're here, take a second to subscribe if you want more Cowboys coverage like this every day as we push toward that 17,000 subscriber mark. Your support is what keeps these deep dives coming. You saw the headlines and heard the tone in the fishbowl. Trayvon Diggs is back in the conversation, but this is one of those returns layered, with more questions than answers. Let's walk through the facts we know from the room and what they mean for you as a fan. Diggs was placed on IR after what the team vaguely called an at-home incident that led to a concussion, and then came the follow-up talk about knees and swelling. He hasn't played since early in the season, and while he told reporters he feels 100% and that his hamstring is strong, the reality is deeper than a soundbite. There's the physical side, concussion recovery, and a knee history that includes surgeries. And then there's the psychological and relational side, public comments about preferring a different system, friction with the organization in the past, and the very human reaction to a close teammate, Micah Parsons, being traded away. All of that colors how people read his return. Now, what does return actually look like? There are a few ways this plays out. Best case, Diggs steps back onto the practice field moving naturally, looks comfortable turning, and running, shows the same instincts and ball skills he displayed 2 seasons ago, and slides into a role as a high-upside boundary corner who can make splash plays and press receivers outside. That version changes the defense immediately. You've got a playmaker who can take away a portion of the field, give the safeties more freedom, and create turnover opportunities. Middle case, he's physically okay, but tentative. He can contribute in a rotational role while the coaches limit his snaps and protect him from high-risk matchups. That's useful, but it won't feel like the old Diggs. Worst case, the injuries linger or the mindset isn't right, and you end up with roster friction, mixed messages to younger corners, and a team that has to choose between sentiment and practical performance. You also have to factor in the human stuff. There's real skepticism in the building and among fans. You don't have to like Diggs' past public comments about the scheme, and you can question whether his relationship with the front office has healed. On the other hand, players move, feelings happen, and a professional who knows he's paid at that level generally finds a way to do the job. Some voices in the transcript suggested he might be a short-term project, or even someone who isn't on the roster long-term. Others said he could use a chip-on-the-shoulder return to reboot his value. I'm not going to make a unilateral call for you. Instead, I want your take. Do you trust Diggs to come back and be the same guy who terrorized receivers? Drop a yes or no in the comments, and tell me why. I read these and use them when I break down the tape. From a roster construction standpoint, keeping Diggs around has upside and very little downside right now, unless he becomes a locker room problem. Cutting him would free some cap space, but it would also remove the chance of recapturing a game-changing corner at a relatively low near-term cost. Practically speaking, the coaching staff has to balance protecting his health, managing snaps so the defense doesn't get worse, and making sure younger guys like the backup corners get meaningful reps if Diggs isn't ready. There's also a strategic element. If he's back and looks close to former form, the Cowboys can be more aggressive in play calling downfield and trust in coverage to limit explosive plays. If he's not, the staff has to lean into scheme adjustments and personnel matchups. Before we move on to how these two stories, Izzy's signing and Diggs' situation, actually changed the game plan for Detroit and beyond, tell me this. Do you think the Cowboys should rush Diggs back if he says he's ready? Yes or no? Vote in the comments and explain your reasoning. And if you're getting value out of these daily breakdowns, smash the like on this video and subscribe to help push us to 17,000 subscribers. It actually helps us keep doing deep daily coverage. You've followed Izzy's film and you've weighed Diggs' health and attitude. Now let's connect those dots to real roster moves and the game plan you'll see when kickoff comes. First, the practical roster stuff. Israel Abanikanda's arrival almost certainly means someone shuffles to make room. Most likely a practice squad adjustment or a move that keeps Javonte as the clear bell cow while giving the staff a fresh body for rotational work and special teams. Expect Malik Davis to keep his role as the complementary back who can catch and convert short yardage looks. And don't be surprised if Jaden Blue's development slows slightly while he gets more targeted reps in practice rather than games. In short, Izzy equals insurance plus competition, and competition tends to raise the floor for the entire room. On defense, Diggs coming off IR creates a careful balancing act. If he looks sharp in practice, his snaps will be phased in. Early on, you'll see him on early down boundary reps, perhaps in rotation on obvious catch or pass downs, with the coaches limiting his exposure in high-risk situations until they're certain the knees and head are fully normal. That means younger corners and depth pieces will still need to prove themselves on third downs and in nickel-heavy packages. Now the game planning consequences. If Izzy can take even a handful of meaningful snaps, that's one less set of snaps Javonte needs to absorb, which preserves his explosiveness late in games and helps maintain a run-pass balance that keeps defensive coordinators guessing. Expect more two-back, sub-packages in short yardage and red zone scenarios, and possibly more play-action setups to get Dak easier reads, especially against teams overcommitting to stop the run. On the flip side, if Diggs is phased in slowly, the Cowboys will lean into scheme stability. More zone coverage mixes, perhaps heavier reliance on the safety rotation to handle deep responsibility, and a cautious pass defense plan that minimizes risk while protecting younger corners. If Diggs looks like his old self, though, you'll see more aggressive boundary press, more freedom for safeties to blitz or shade, and a higher ceiling for creating turnovers, which is the kind of swing that can flip a game in the Cowboys' favor. Coaching-wise, this is also about managing personalities. The staff has to make sure the message is consistent. Earn your reps, protect your health, and play for the team. That includes clear communication about snap counts and expectations for Diggs, and a transparent path for younger corners to step up if needed. Quick fan interaction here. What would you change right now if you ran the staff for a week? Give Izzy early game reps or keep him as practice depth? Drop your pick and why in the comments. And if you want more of these roster and snap count breakdowns as the season heats up, hit subscribe and like. Every new subscriber pushes us towards 17,000 and helps keep these deep dives coming.